Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to IQ Illuminating Quran. My name is Sahar Rizk. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, inshallah, we will continue with Surah Al-Kahf. Inshallah, we'll do our last video for this surah, verses 93 to 110. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حتى إذا بلغ بين السدين وجد من دونها قوما لا يكادون يفقهون قولا. Until when we reached a pass between two mountains, we found beside them a people who could hardly understand his speech. Yusuf Ali, it does not mean that they have no speech. It means that they did not understand the speech. Maybe it's different. Maybe they needed a translator, different region of the world. If you go from Egypt to Persia, you won't understand how they're saying, maybe. Okay, so that it just they just couldn't speak. It's not that they couldn't. They have no speech. I know Sharawi said that sign language, but it just they communicated somehow, but they hardly understood his speech. قالوا يا ذا القرنين إن يأجوج ومأجوج مفسدون في الأرض فهل نجعل لك خرجا على أن تجعل بيننا وبينهم سدا. They said, "O Dhul-Qarnayn, indeed Gog and Magog are great corrupters in the land, so may we assign for you an expenditure that you might make between us and them a barrier." So Zul-Qarnaini, he was gifted from God. He has tremendous amount of skills and strength. So he has a little bit above other people. But and he can prepare molten lead, prepare furnish iron blocks. So all these things, and he has people skills also, management skills. He can get them all involved in whatever project he's working on. And not because he knows he has better skills and strength, so he wants to get them all involved. He does not oppress people or make them or force them, but get them involved in the decision and the task. And it will get more details on the next one. قال ما مكنني فيه ربي خير فأعينونني بقوة أجعل بينكم وبينهم ردما. He said, that in which my Lord has established me is better than what you offer, but assist me with strength. I will make between you and them a dam. So it's between, I think this is the way or the entry of the enemy, and they wanted protection, and they wanted him to make some kind of a block to block him. He would provide a motive. See, he has an organizational skills. He provides them. He asked them, would they obey him and provide materials and labor to close the gap between the two mountains, and build a strong barrier. Now, a ramp. He's building a dam, but he's saying a ramp, a barrier, not necessarily a wall, but it could be a blocked door. Now, Sharawi said it's a blocked wall, but he sees it as blocked door. So we'll just keep reading. Mecca, ma makkanani. Makkanani, what he got, he's referring to God's guidance rather than worldly possession. Because God gave him skills, strength, the ability to get the people together to help and build the project. آتوني زبر الحديد حتى إذا ساوى بين الصرفين قال انفخوا حتى إذا جعله نارا قال أوتوني أفرغ عليه قطرا. Now, bring me sheets of iron until when he had leveled them between the two mountain walls, he said, blow with blows until when he had made it like a fire. He said, bring me that I may pour over it molten copper. So, for the defenses, they erected this strong barrier of iron. And he sees it, Yusuf Ali sees it as blocks or bricks of iron. Now, this is a picture that I can think of when Yusuf Ali says blocks of iron. So it's like this, and they're going to bring the molten copper once it's heated and pour over it to make it even stronger, because the enemy could not climb over it, and they could not penetrate it. So it's so strong. So it could be these, instead of bricks, it could be sheets of iron, and in between they poured molten copper. And then he called it iron, and he says the description, it made it red as fire. But then we all know that copper is red, so it could be that's what he's referring to. But these two, copper is the correct translation. So they have sheets, not sticks really, sheets of iron, and then poured over it molten copper. فما استطاعوا أن يظهروه وما استطاعوا له نقبة. So Gog and Magog were unable to pass over it, nor were they able to effect in it any penetration. So sufficiently high enough that they couldn't scale it or climb over it, and sufficient strong enough that they could not hammer it or dig a hole in it, penetrate. So they succeeded in their project. قال هذا رحمة من ربي فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا وكان وعد ربي حقا. Zulqarnain said, this is mercy from my Lord, but when the promise of my Lord comes, he will make it level. And ever is the promise of my Lord true. So he claimed no credit. He referred it to Allah. He turned, that's why he is so righteous. He referred it to God's gifts. He referred their attention back to God, that He is the provider of resources and the strength and the intellect to put it all together. And then he said, when the promise of God comes, like the day of judgment comes, even the strongest of structures and buildings and mountains will crumble right like dust. Nothing will be standing. It will be leveled. وتركنا بعضهم يومئذ يموج في بعض ونفخ في الصور فجمعناهم جمعا. And we will leave them that day surging over each other, and then the horn will be blown, and we will assemble them in one assembly. So, right before the horns are sounded, or we go right before they're summoned by God, all human barriers will be swept away, and they will be tumultuous rushes, people climbing over one another. Think of it as on a train and someone calls a bomb, and then they rush and they're climbing over one another to get out of the train, and sometimes they're just surging over one another. That's what they're saying. Until when the trumpet will be blown and the judgment will be set on foot. They will be summoned, assembled. But before that, they're climbing over one another. وعرضنا جهنم يومئذ للكافرين عرضا. And we will present hell that day to the disbeliever on display. So while they're waiting for judgment, they will display hellfire. It's actually going to be displayed to the believers too. So they will see what God saved them from. His guidance and protection saved them from. But they're not going to last there for long. Just a glimpse at it. But the disbelievers, their eyes will be opened then. They scoffed at faith and the hereafter, but their eyes will be open now at this display of hellfire. They will see the terrible reality. الذين كانت أعينهم في غطاء عن ذكري وكانوا لا يستطيعون سمع. Those whose eyes had been within a cover, removed from my remembrance, and they were not able to hear. So those very men, they refused to see the signs of God. They refused to hear it. They walked away when the prophet was talking. And the world convey his message and hear the word of the Lord when it came to them. Now they see without mistake the consequences of them refusing the faith, refusing the message, refusing the sign. Whether to look, to read, or to hear. أفحسب الذين كفروا أن يتخذوا عبادي من دوني أولياء إنا أعتدنا جهنم للكافرين نزلا. Then do those who disbelieve think that they can take my servants instead of me as allies? Indeed, we have prepared hell for the disbelievers as lodging. Now, there are ibadi, my believers, my servants. So worship created being or forces of nature. So whether you're worshiping idols or forces in nature or saints, so these are ibadi actually. These are people they were good believers. They followed God's commands, and people took them as saints, or they as allies. So God doesn't want that. No one should be, no created being can have any influence on God's judgment. So they cannot intercede with God in behalf of anyone if God rejected them. These saints or idols or forces of nature, they're not going to help them. The only one who can help you is God. So why not believe in God? قل هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا. Say, O Muhammad, shall we believers inform you of the greatest losers as to their deeds? Now, the people who prided themselves on their work in this life now find those works of no avail. So you bragged, or you give yourself credit, or you used the assistance of false protectors. So you denied yourself. Those are the losers, the ones that used pride and show off, or false protectors. الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحسنوا صنعا. They are those whose effort is lost in worldly life, while they think that they are doing well in work. They have a smug sense of self-righteousness. For example, they're doing wrong, but they think that they're doing right. So they're doing charity, but really the outward is showing off, or selfish reason, not really because God told us to, or because they deserve it, or so their declared effort for someone's good is not appreciated. So sometimes they feel like their effort is not they want appreciation from people, and instead of just God's favor. That's what it is. So they're seeking some hidden gain or false glory for themselves. So if they got it in this lifetime, they have nothing to show for in the hereafter, because your spiritual responsibility and act as God's sight. So if you do it for the sake of God, then you accumulate good deeds, and your scale will tip at the end with your good deeds. But if you just do it showing off, these deeds are empty. They don't tip the scale. أولئك الذين كفروا بآيات ربهم ولقائه فحبطت أعمالهم فلا نقيم لهم يوم القيامة وزنا. See, it doesn't have any weight at the end, any importance. It loses its value. Those are the ones who disbelieve in the verses of their Lord and in their meeting him. So their deeds have become worthless, and we will not assign to them on the day of resurrection any importance. So he who shall have done Adam's weight of good shall behold it. That was verse 99:7. The weight of your deed depends on the motives. If your motives are true, then it tips over a little bit, because every one deed is 10 hasanat, 10 that you collect 10. But if your intentions, it depends on your heart, because God sees what's in your heart. Are you doing it for the sake of people or sake of God? ذلك جزاؤهم جهنم بما كفروا واتخذوا آياتي ورسلي هزوا. That is their recompense, hell for what they denied, and because they took my signs and my messengers in ridicule. So they have false motives, false pretense, deception, hypocrisy flourished because people do not take the higher life seriously. They take it in jest. The signs of God, the messengers are sent for special mercy, especially from God, as mercy for us. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا. Indeed, those who have believed and done righteous deeds, they will have the gardens of paradise as lodging. Firdaus, in Persian, it just means enclosed place or park. So, those that do good deeds will have the Firdaus, gardens of paradise. خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا. Therein they abide eternally. They will not desire from it any transfer. So it's not like this lifetime when you get a house and you want a bigger house. You get a house and you want to change this over time. No, this is going to be for eternity. For eternity, and you will not desire any transfer. You don't want to go anywhere else because this is paradise. قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات الرب لنفذ البحر قبل أن تنفذ قبل أن تنفذ كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا. Say, if the sea were ink for writing the words of my Lord, the sea would be exhausted before the words of my Lord were exhausted, even if we brought the like of it as a supplement. Yusuf Ali says, words and signs and mercies of Allah are in all creation, and it never fully set out in man language. Okay. Now, if you remember back in the days when we used to use this type of pens, you fill them with ink, and they're saying, this verse says that imagine if this sea is ink, and the pen, and God starts writing with the pen, the sea or the ink will run out before God run out of his words. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم. Wait, is this the right one? Yeah. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. Say, I am only a man like you, to whom has been revealed that your God is one God. So whoever would hope for the meeting with his Lord, let him do righteous work and not associate in the worship of his Lord anyone. And of course, righteousness and true respect of Allah, it excludes any worship of anyone else or anything else, whether it's idol, saints, forces of nature, any of those. So no one with God. You just rely on one, you pray to one, you ask one. Only one God. Only one God. Okay, Alhamdulillah, everyone. We finished the Surah Al-Kahf, or the cave. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And until next time, take good care. Assalamu alaikum.